Hello and welcome to Grace Unscripted, where we share stories of the people in and around Grace Church without any script, just real, raw conversations about life change through Jesus. I'm your host, Audrey Wallace. Today's guest is Austin Shanower. Now, he is part of our Power Kids ministry, a big part of our Power Kids ministry. But as you'll hear in this story, that is not ever where he thought that he'd find himself. We have a lot of fun, I'm going to be honest, in this conversation. We talk about what his superhero name would be. We talk about all kinds of shenanigans that he got himself into. But really, my favorite thing is the ripples that we see in his story, how things that happened in his youth are now things that he is doing for the youth of this church. And even though he doesn't know what the future brings, he has seen God's faithfulness, and he is resting in that and excited for what's to come. Austin.
Audrey.
Welcome to Unscripted.
Thank you for having me. It's about time. I have been patiently waiting in the shadows for this very moment.
Well, this is going to be fun, I can tell. Okay, well, then, we don't have any script here, but I do feel like maybe you've come with an agenda.
My only agenda is to help the listeners to have a wonderful time.
Excellent.
Learning about the mystery of who Austin is.
Excellent. Well, let's go for it. Let's dig in. I always start at the beginning. So, Austin, are you from the Akron area? Did you grow up here? Are you a transplant? What's your story?
Transplant, I love that. No, I'm not a transplant. I was born and raised in the Canton area.
Okay.
It's more specifically in the North Canton area.
Okay.
Like I said, born and raised, been there all my life, still reside there currently with my wife, Rachel.
Hey, Rachel.
Hi. Yeah, hi, Rachel. I love you. You're so attractive. Yeah, I was born and raised there. All my family is from there and still live there. We don't get out much, and we don't venture out too far. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much kind of like the origin story of.
Okay,
of
so
that.
North Canton, what kind of school district is there?
Yeah, so there's a couple different school districts in North Canton. So you have Glen Oak, where I went to high school.
Okay.
That's like, it's all like plain local. And then you have Hoover High School, which Rachel went to Hoover High School. So we were high school rivals. Fun fact,
Really?
Hoover and Glen Oak are pretty big rivals.
Mm-hmm.
So much so that when I was in high school, I was on the bowling team.
What?
And we can get into that.
Yeah, that's.
I am an incredible. I still am if I practice, but I was an incredible bowler.
Wow.
Back in the day.
Fun facts.
Yeah, fun facts about Austin. But the rivalry ran so deep that our bowling teams almost fought.
Wow.
one of the
You were part of that?
Yeah, I was part of that. I was about.
Were you breaking it up, or were you initiating?
I was kind of initiating.
Wow.
I was a bit scrappy when I was in high school. It
I
kind of came
have
to that stuff.
never heard of a bowling team in a high school before.
Oh yeah. There was almost every school in the district had a bowling team.
Wow. I grew up in the country. We didn't have anything like that. So.
Well, it's okay. You weren't missing a whole lot. We did have some fun chants and some
Prove it.
neat stuff that we did. Oh, that was the girls' stuff.
Okay.
They did the chants and everything. We just stood there and looked cool.
Okay,
for the
so
guys.
was Rachel in high school at the same time as you? Did you know each other, or were you jarring at each other from the sidelines of sporting events? Or
No, so like any good American romance, it started off. Rachel and I met at a football game. I was a senior.
Friday Night Lights.
Oh yeah, romance under the lights of the football game. So Rachel and I, we had mutual friends that we met one night at a football game. So she was a freshman, I was a senior.
Oh,
and,
wow.
I would like to say that. Well, actually, no. She actually thought I was probably pretty attractive when we first met. I remember her saying that, but I was going to say I remember she was fawning over me under the lights, and she knew it was true love from that point on. But no, it was I was walking around the football field with my buddy, like any good teenager does at a
With
football
some
game.
nachos and pixie sticks and high
Got
hopes for
a couple
love.
dogs. Yeah, we were just kind of walking around chilling, and her friend were walking around, and we had just kind of met up. We were talking, and we just kind of added each other on social media, and then nothing came of it for years.
Really?
Yeah, for years. And it actually wasn't until, like I said, a couple years later, I had actually gone through a pretty awful breakup.
Okay.
And she dumped me on Christmas, the girl that I broke up with. And I was like, well, I'm just going to be returning your Christmas presents. So. But
save a little money there.
Yeah, so I had kind of given up on dating a little bit and given that over to the Lord. I'm like, God, you know who you want to walk into my life, and you know when that's going to happen. So I'm just going to let that let everything there kind of be up to you. And so I wasn't even looking for a relationship or anything at that point. But I was on Facebook one day, and I was just scrolling, and I came across Rachel's page, and I was like, she seems really familiar. She's very attractive. I wonder where I know her from, and I got to digging. I was like, oh, she's so-and-so's friend. Mm-hmm. I remember her now. So I started messaging her again. I was just more curious how she was doing. I hadn't seen her in years. And one thing led to another, and I was like, you are so interesting and amazing to talk to. Can we please hang out? So we ended up hanging out and then go on a date, and we both later would kind of say we kind of knew from the first date that it was we hit it off. I mean, immediately, and it was, we just knew. It was okay. We just got to get through the formalities and everything, but I'm pretty sure that
sounds like you were probably still pretty young at that point.
Yeah. So I was, so she was 18, and I was 20. Yeah, I was 20.
Okay.
And so we dated for a year, and then we ended up getting married, and now we've been, this June, will be 8 years.
Oh my god.
That we'll have been married. So.
Wow. Babes.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Well, we skipped a lot of seasons there, which we'll
that's okay.
joyfully come back to, but I loved hearing that story.
Yeah.
And it's like the all-American dream here. We have football, we have social media, we have a Christmas breakup. You could be writing a Hallmark movie right now.
I really could, but I hate Hallmark movies, so I'm going to kind of put that aside.
Okay.
I'll let someone else do it.
Your own brand of movie, but it's a cute little rom-com, I'm sure.
I'd love for it to be an action movie somehow. It is the least action-packed sequence of events ever, but somehow I want it to be an action movie.
What's your superpower in this movie?
Gosh, you're kind of putting me on the spot.
I know I am.
Probably, other than devilish good looks.
For Rachel, right?
Right. Probably, I would love to have the power where I could say something really funny and it could actually just kill you. Because you laugh so hard.
That's menacing.
That it's it literally busts your gut.
Gutbuster.
It splits your spleen.
All right. Well, good looking and gut busting. You and Rachel are quite the pair.
That's I'm going to use that tagline. Austin, how would you describe yourself? Good looking and gut busting.
Oh, well, I was saying Rachel was the good looking and you're the gut busting, but whatever you want to take away.
Can we not be both? Can we not be both a great looking couple together?
Imagine the children. Okay. So we're winding back the tape. We have all of your story with Rachel, at least how you met, which is lovely. You mentioned in there that you gave it over to God. So you had a faith of some kind. How did that go throughout your life journey? Did you grow up in a Christian home? Was that something kind of in and out for you?
Yeah. So growing up, my upbringing was it felt chaotic at times. So when I was 2, now to preface, everything I'm going to say about my family. I love my family. Mm-hmm. I love my mom. I love my dad and my stepdad. They did the absolute best that they could in raising me. Yeah. So in no way, shape, or form am I disparaging them or trying to make them feel less than or they didn't do a good job because they, we all have our moments, and there were times I can just kind of point to just that, but my parents love me deeply. It's just sometimes it was like, I don't exactly know how I'm seeing this right now, but make no mistake, like my parents, they love me deeply.
And you probably see that more and more as you get older and older as
Oh,
well.
yeah,
Like your childhood vision
100%.
of things versus your adult vision of things shifts it, right?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I was 2, my parents, my mom and my dad, ended up splitting. So they had me, and it was pretty early on that they split. So it was me and my mom for a while. We were living at my grandparents' house, and so she was doing the single mom thing, working to make ends meet to support me. And just so she could get a house of her own and everything. She finally did. It was still just me and her from about 2 to 7.
Wow.
And so she kind of she was great. I love my mom so much. If you meet my mom, you're like, "Oh, yeah, you are definitely Austin's mom."
Oh.
Like we look almost identical.
No way.
Oh, it's crazy. I should show you a picture afterwards.
Yes, please do.
It's nuts.
Mom, drop some pics in the comments here if you can. I don't even know if you can, but try.
And it's crazy. I found out just recently, my mom and I have a very, very similar sense of humor.
She's a gut buster too.
Yeah,
you come by it naturally.
got like she's not like funny all the time, like me, but she's got some
Zingers.
one line. She's got some zingers, man. Oh my gosh.
Amazing.
But she did the absolute best that she could. So she was driving to and from full-time job, picking me up from my grandparents' house. So I basically kind of lived at my grandparents' house for a while. Went to school. They would come pick me up, and I spent a lot of time with them and my cousins and just the rest of my family. And my grandparents were kind of like second parents to me. I adored my grandfather. I adored both of them. My grandfather especially. He was always someone I looked up to and wanted to model my life after. And I always said growing up, I'm like, if I could be half the man my grandpa was, I would feel like I turned out all right.
Wow, that's incredible to have.
But in terms of like a religious background or anything, not really. So like we would have kind of been like the Creaster family.
Okay.
So
yeah.
we would have like my grandma was Catholic. My mom, my uncle, and my aunt would have all gone to. There's a big Catholic school down there. It's called Central Catholic, and they went. My grandparents sent them there, so they would have been raised in more of like the Catholic understanding of religion. And my grandma was, she was probably the biggest influential faith presence in my life when I was a child. So whenever I had, it was crazy because I had questions, like I had faith questions really early on. I would go up to my grandma like when I was probably like 9 or 10 and be asking stuff like, Grandma, like, how do you get to heaven? Like, who is God? Like asking all those different questions. And she would give me a lot of like the answers of like, well, you just have to be a good person. You just have to make sure that, you do the right things. You just like, it goes along with like being a good person. But I still was, I wouldn't have been able to articulate this growing up, but I was wrestling with those things of like, okay, but if I'm supposed to be a good person, I don't feel like I'm a good person a lot of the times. And there's a lot of times where I don't do the right things. So like, I don't know
what's good enough.
Yeah. What is good enough. And so I was very, like, it confused me a lot because I heard about a little bit about a God that loves me, but mainly about a God who was kind of trying to find every reason to send me to hell. And so God, for most of my upbringing, was someone to be appeased. Or someone to try and go to like bargain with. Like when I was a terrible student growing up, especially in math. Don't ask me to do simple math because I probably can't do it. But I would remember nights where I would be praying. I'm like, okay, God, if you're real, help me out with this math test.
Yeah, that's a great.
And then I would get an F. I'm like, well, Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah. That's
So I don't
childlike
really need
faith.
God.
It's a bit, juvenile, but those are the kinds of agreements that we could potentially have made, like win this game, get the good grade,
Sure.
and if you do this, God, then I'll.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would ask God for things and it wouldn't happen, or it wouldn't happen the way that I wanted it to, and I'm like, God, like I thought if I was a good person, you would kind of turn things out all right for me.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like the legit opposite. I was like, you're giving me every reason to not want to believe that you were even there. So, um, I would have, like, if you would have pressed me like growing up, I would have said like God is real, but I don't think He wants anything to do with me.
Wow.
And yeah, that was pretty much like my faith upbringing up until like around high school.
Okay, what shifted?
Yeah, well, I'll back up a little bit. So, um, obviously, trying to find, like little Austin, trying to find identity and happiness and joy and meaning in the world. Um, I tried a ton of different things to give my life meaning, purpose, and identity. Tried sports. I tried to get a ton of friends at school. I tried to be really good at school, but like I said, I was a terrible student. Um, I I was really good at sports, but I wasn't good enough to be noticed. Like I was just good enough to fly under the radar, and so that was always like a big wound for me because I loved baseball, and so I would always try and get on the travel teams. I would always, like when I was in high school, I tried to get on my high school's team. I tried for 3 years and they shot me
Oh
down
my
each time, and I was
gosh.
like, they asked me, like, you gonna go out for the fourth year? And I was like, what do you think?
Take the hint here. Yeah. Oh
Um,
gosh.
but so any sport that I did, I was good at, but I wasn't good enough at it to like satisfy that longing and desire in my heart, which I didn't know at the time was, that Jesus shaped hole. Friends came and went, and I had trouble making a lot of friends and keeping friends because I didn't really know how to be a friend, and I didn't really know what good friends looked like. So I ended up falling into, the wrong crowd a lot of times, and it kind of got me into some hot water, and I did things that I'm not proud of because of that. And so, and again, like I wasn't a good student, and but I tried to insert all these different hobbies, all these different sorts of people, all these different sorts of like ideas, and change who I was. Like I would get a different haircut like every other week because I was like, it's probably all this stuff isn't working, obviously because I have the wrong haircut, right?
Obviously, yeah.
Because that makes
Frost
so much
those
sense.
tips. Some.
I had frosted tips. I have a
You
picture
went
of
through
that
that
too.
phase, yeah.
I look like a reject NSYNC member. But even how I looked. So I was like pudgy growing up, and when I was in 8th grade, I basically made a pact with myself that I was like, I am going to lose all this weight, and I am going to be physically attractive, and so no one makes fun of me for being like fat little Austin anymore. And so I'm not kidding you, there were nights where I would stay up probably till like 10 or so, and I would do like thousands of push-ups and sit-ups.
Wow.
And I'm not exaggerating. And I know that it sounds like I'm probably exaggerating, but I promise you, when you're a fat little kid who gets picked on all the time and all you want is to be loved and accepted, you'll find a way
Wow.
to get all those reps in.
Oh my gosh.
And actually led to me getting into bodybuilding for 10 years and doing a lot of
Wow.
that stuff. That's a whole another rabbit trail we
Yeah.
can go down on if you want. But I tried to find meaning and purpose and identity and joy in all of these things, and nothing worked. And it was probably like when I was in, again, like 7th, 8th grade, that I was like, if this is all that life is, if this is what I have to look forward to for the next like 60 years, I'm out. And, I had a little bit of a trigger warning and everything. There were, I had some ideations, some deep, dark thoughts, and I didn't seek out help. Help kind of sought me out because I was acting out, and it kind of just got out one day to my teachers, and they called my parents, and right. I'm glad that they did because, but there was always, and then there were a few times where I had considered it when I was at home, but there was always something that kept me back from doing anything, and I never understood why. And I was like, well, it's probably just because I'm a coward and I can't actually go through with it.
Well, that just digs the hole even deeper.
Oh yeah,
if that's the outcome.
And so I'm like, gosh, I am just hopeless. I am a screw up, everything. And so, like you said, I dug myself into a really, really deep hole. And I was looking around, and I was like, I have no way to get out of this. Because again, like I tried everything. No one seems to help me. Nothing else can seem to help me. I feel like I am at rock bottom, and I'm just going to stay there for the rest of my life.
How old are you at this point?
Oh, I was like 7th, 8th grade.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. So I was like, I was wrestling with some pretty big stuff. Just even before I even got into high school.
Yeah.
And high school was a whirlwind in itself.
Yeah, for sure.
Thankfully I never dabbled in doing any drugs because I think I was more afraid of my mom and my dad. Like, and if they found out I was doing drugs or something, then the effect of like the drugs would actually have on me. And so I never dabbled in that, but there was so much stuff that I got caught up in my first few years of high school, and man, it was just it was a whirlwind of a lot of stuff. Because man, high school is brutal, middle school is brutal. Yeah. I feel for any like middle school or high school kid that's growing up now, because it is not.
Yeah.
It wasn't friendly when I was growing up. It is not friendly now.
Yeah. The pressures are coming from every angle.
Yeah.
There's so few escapes from that. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so you said that something shifted in high school time, maybe? What happened?
Yeah, so I was a freshman in high school, and I was just trying to live the normal like high school life from what my friends were kind of telling me was normal. So I was chasing after girls. I was trying to be Mr. Cool Guy and wear all the cool stuff and do all the things and whatnot. And there was one girl that I kind of had the hots for. And one day I was like, hey, so what are you doing after? It was like Wednesday. I was like, what are you doing after school? She was like, well, I'm going to my church's youth group and everything. I was like, what is youth group?
Ooh.
And she was like, well, it's basically a group that meets after school at my church, like later in the day. And we basically meet, we hang out, have pizza, and talk about Jesus and everything. I was like, so you're going to be there? She was like, yep. I'm like, okay, well, I'll be there. And spoiler, nothing ended up happening with that girl, obviously. She was actually a dear friend of mine, even to this day. Her name's Caroline. Yeah, so I was pursuing her at the time, so I started going to church. And like when I walked through the door, like that Wednesday, I felt something noticeably different. When I was there, people, because again, I didn't have great experiences with church growing up, let alone like really any. And so I had this preconception about Christians that they were just hypocrites. They were, because that's who I was engaging with at school. The kids who would pick on me were the same ones who would go to church on the weekends and say how much they love Jesus. And so I was like, well,
yeah,
I mean, if that's
not a good look, Christian
teenagers. I was like, come on, guys,
yeah, we
got to do better. But I was like, if that's what a Christian is, I don't want anything to do with them.
Yeah.
When I went there, it was really strange because people were happy that I was there. They wanted to know me, and it was the warmest welcome that I think I had ever experienced, like in my life. And I was like, whoa, this is so different than what I had in my head. And so got up to youth group, and I was even hanging out with the other kids. I was like, these guys aren't trying to put on like a front. They're not trying to be cool. They just kind of are who they are. And they're just kind of embracing that. I was like, whoa, okay,
That
yeah,
feels different.
this is real different, and and they actually just liked me for me. I dropped my guard really quick because I was like, oh, I feel like I can be myself around these guys.
That probably was so refreshing,
Oh,
so freeing.
it was so freeing.
And you're talking about the first night you went, or are you talking about like
Yeah,
months of time?
first night, first few times
Yeah.
that I had went and experienced youth group, and man, like I didn't pay a ton of attention to like whenever we were having lessons and stuff, mainly because I just didn't even know what they were talking about.
Yeah.
But they were talking about God in a way that it perked my ears up because I had never heard anyone talk about God in that way before, and and so I was interested. I didn't know what they were talking about, but I was at least interested enough to keep coming back.
Yeah. So you keep coming back then?
Yeah, I kept coming back, and so this was a Grace Church. So actually, it was it's in the same fellowship of churches that we're at. It was called Middle Branch Grace Brethren
Oh,
Church.
wow. Okay.
And so I went there for, gosh, I kept going there throughout my freshman year, my sophomore year, and that summer of sophomore year. So this would have been like 2010. They told me earlier on in the year about this thing called Momentum Youth Conference.
Oh, yes.
And I was like, what is that?
I know those words.
Yeah, and they explained it to me, and I was like, whoa, that sounds like fun. So basically, like a bunch of days where I just get to hang out at a college dorm with
Goof
my
off,
friends,
yeah.
goof off, have like the time
Good,
of my
clean
life.
fun,
Yeah,
right?
good, clean fun. Um, and I was like, yeah, why not? Let's do it. And so I went to so also there was a bunch of us that were gonna go. Every one of them, aside from me, dropped off for some reason.
Oh,
It
really?
was like, oh, my mom said I couldn't go, or like I couldn't raise the money, so I'm not able to go. And it went down. I forget how many people were going. I think it was like around 4 or 5, but it dwindled down from like 4 or 5 to just me.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and so it was me. There were literally 3 adult leaders that went. So it was it was me. I want to name these guys intentionally because it was me. His name's Denny Erb, Craig Brown, and Rick Dale.
Okay.
And so they decided to, even though it was just me, let's go anyways.
Oh my gosh.
And so we went.
You just road tripped out there.
We just road tripped out there.
Filled the car with snacks.
And we
took
actually,
off.
we stopped by Grace Church in Lexington and picked up their youth group too.
Okay.
So I was kind of like grafted into that
Oh
one.
my.
It was fun.
Oh, that's gotta be.
It was so fun.
That's rough to just be implanted into a group like that, but
they welcomed me in with open arms. I was like, oh, this is great. But I shared a room with my one leader, Denny, and he was just this. He's this incredibly faithful older guy who just kind of clung to me like a mentor sort of guy, and it was during that momentum is when I gave my life to Jesus, and I said those guys' names because if they could have easily said, oh, it's just one
Not
kid,
worth-
we'll wait
yeah,
next
yeah.
year. The faithfulness that those guys had to go out on a limb and sacrifice their time, sacrifice, being at work, providing for the family, like all this sort of stuff, doing things that they probably
it's a week-long
way better
excursion.
things that they could be doing with their
it's
time.
a big investment.
They chose to invest in me, even though fully knowing that nothing's ever going to be promised. That it could have just been like a dud of a week, and but I say that because it's the faithfulness with even just one kid that has like it can have some of the biggest impacts, and you just never know. I kind of credit those guys for starting me on like the path that God has helped me to be on today. And the faithfulness of like tons of other people, but
And the
I mean,
ripples, like we'll get there, but
yeah.
the ripples into generations that are happening
100%.
because of their choice,
Yeah, because they
their
chose to
sacrifice. Yeah.
sacrifice their time for one kid.
Yeah.
And that's why, even to this day, I will never shut down an event or anything. When I was youth pastoring, whatever, I never shut down an event, even if we
For
had one kid.
attendance. Well, I know
'Cause
another guy who does a lot for one as well. He'll leave the 99, in fact, for that
100%.
one. Wow, that's powerful.
Yep.
So momentum, which is powerful experience. You accept Jesus, you maybe understand it more different than ever before, and you come home to a crew that didn't go to momentum. Only you went.
Yeah.
How does your life change? Is it noticeable? Did you actually feel a shift, or how did that go?
When I accepted Jesus, it was, I call them puzzle piece moments. And it was like when you have like that puzzle piece that slides into place that you've been trying to figure out like where this thing has been
Ooh, I like
trying to fit this
that.
whole time.
Yes.
And so that was one of the puzzle piece moments for me that slid into place. And I was like, gosh, everything makes sense. Mm-hmm. I'm like, it makes sense why nothing else in my life has ever satisfied me. It makes so much sense that the people who I was trying to put in my life to give me like purpose and meaning and to give me like stability and joy and like no one can offer me that. It makes sense that nothing that no sport, no hobby, no substance, no like anything that I would try and like put into my life or try and use.
No haircut.
No haircut. Yeah, absolutely. The Clippers weren't doing it. Like literally nothing could fill that void. I love this passage in 1 John. It's in 1 John 2.
Okay.
If I can like
Go
pull
for
this
it.
up really quick.
Is this something that you remember from that time, or just something that reminds you of it?
It reminds me of it all the time. But when I was it was during that time when I was when I decided to make that decision, like I said, the puzzle piece moment, it slid in. It was like I also felt the love of God for the first time, and I came to realize that God wasn't out to get me; He was out to rescue me, and that He loves me deeper than I will ever even possibly fathom or even imagine, and. I'm sorry, I get choked up every time we're talking about it.
I
Just
love
because
that. I love the quiver in the voice because that means it's striking a chord deep down inside. It's real.
Sorry, give me 1 second. I know it's
Do we want some hold music?
Huh?
You want some hold music?
Oh yeah. I should have really prepared for this. I'm not so great on the spot.
It's okay. We're here for it.
Okay, so 1 John 2, verse 16 through 17. For the world only offers a craving for physical pleasure, a craving for everything we see, and pride in our achievements and possessions. These are not from the Father, but are from the world. And this world is fading away, along with everything that people crave. But anyone who does what pleases God will live forever.
Yeah.
And so I look back on that time and I read that passage and I'm like, yeah, Lil Austin was lost in the darkness and down in a really deep, deep hole and trying to claw his way out, but had no idea that everything that he was trying to use as a ladder to get out of that hole was only getting him deeper into it.
Wow.
And I'm eternally thankful to the Lord for being willing to step down into that darkness and pull me back out of it. There's a hymn that I love because Middle Branch we rocked it a little old school. We still did hymns and everything from time to time. But there was one hymn that I loved so much, and it's called "Love Lifted Me." Part of the hymn that I really loved was, I was sinking deep in sin, far from the peaceful shore. very deeply stained within, sinking to rise no more.
Oof.
But the master of the sea heard my despairing cry, and from the waters lifted me. Now safe am I.
Ooh.
And oh, I tell you, like
Yeah.
I literally get goosebumps every time I listen to that hymn, because that just encapsulates what I've felt that God has shown me, like all along, and has done in my story.
Have you looked that hymn up? Is there like a modern version of it that
Oh yeah,
anybody's done?
there's totally a modern version.
Okay, are we
of
adding
it.
that to the playlist later?
Yeah,
Okay.
I was totally going
No
to
spoiler.
get to that later if I didn't get to it beforehand.
No,
but
I'm like pumped to hear that. I love a good like remade hymn or even an original, the way it comes with the organ and all.
yeah, I mean, sometimes you just can't beat the originals.
Truly.
Like, everyone's like, oh, I can't stand hymns. It's so boring and old. And I'm like, well, hymns were like the modern day equivalent of like rock music when you think about it back in the day. So, you know, someday your music will be boring and old to people. So just get over yourself.
Exactly. All the generations have their new way that they express themselves through music, and that sounds like a good one. Oh my gosh, the depths of that. It sounds like a psalm, right? Like, you know, the depth of pain and then the height of God's love that
Yes.
he can pull us to.
Yeah. And I'd love to say that, because my life did dramatically shift after that. I mean, I was on fire for Jesus, like you would not believe. I went home. I called my parents as soon as I made it. They were like, "Oh, that's great. You know, that's awesome." And so I went home, and I was so on fire for Jesus, and I was still in high school and still trying to figure things out, and so I obviously still made some really dumb, stupid decisions. Because like I was a little baby Christian living in a high school world, and so
Yeah.
you know I was really hard on myself for a long time about that, and looked at that with a lot of regret and shame and everything. And the Lord has really helped me over the last handful of years to look at that time and be like, no, like yeah, sure, everything that a lot of the stuff that you were doing, like it wasn't good, and I'm not gonna say it was good, but you were still learning how to follow me.
Yeah.
And
You were an adolescent or
Yeah,
like a
I was-
baby turning into an adolescent on the Christian perspective. But
Right.
There's mistakes there and maturing happening, and so there's grace.
Yeah, grace like an ocean.
Yeah.
When it comes to all that.
Yeah.
And the wild ride doesn't stop there, because the very next year I went to Momentum. Jeff Bogue was there, like he always is, and he gave a call if anyone was interested in pursuing full-time ministry, you know, to come forward. And again, it was another one of those puzzle piece moments
Whoa.
where I was like, because I'm a junior at this point, and like senior year is right around the corner, and everyone's asking me already. It was just like, what are you gonna do after college? Like, what do you want to do when you grow up, little boy? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't feel like I'm good at anything. I'm not. I definitely don't want to go to college, because if
Right.
I have to do more school, like no one's going to want to be around me with that. I'm not good with my hands. Fun fact: my great grandfather built my family's house.
Okay.
My dad worked on cars all of his life for fun. Like he tore down and rebuilt cars for fun. My grandfather ran a construction company, and you know he was real hands on. My uncle is super hands on, and he's incredibly intelligent. He has his master's in chemistry.
Oh my gosh.
And he's a math whiz. He's literally almost like the opposite of me in a lot of ways. It's so funny. He's like really reserved and
Can't be
and
nearly
I'm like,
as humorous. So.
oh yeah, and well no, he's got like some good ones too. He's got really dry humor, but he's got some zingers like my mom. But you shouldn't even trust me to pick up a hammer. Like that's how far from
that
the
legacy,
tree.
and
that
here
is
you
how
are.
far from the tree I fell, and I still don't understand it to this day.
So no college, no trades.
Yeah, no college, no trades. I'm like, well, I guess I'm just gonna be working at McDonald's. That's kind of where I like resigned myself. But it was the way that when Jeff was explaining full-time vocational ministry, it was like one of those puzzle piece moments. Things slid into place, and I was like, and I didn't understand like what I was kind of signing up for. It was, and I couldn't even articulate it at that point. but it was just something in me. It was like, that's it. That's what, that's what I'm supposed to do. And
It's a calling, as they say.
yeah, and it's a calling. And, and so I went forward and I did the thing. And when I went home, I talked to my pastor, Jeff, not the pastor Jeff. My old pastor's name was Jeff too. He's like a spiritual dad to me, and I love that man deeply. And so I went back home and I talked to Jeff and I talked to Rick, my other pastor, and I was like, I don't know what all of this means, and I don't I don't know what to do with this. Do you know what to do? And they were like, okay, like, well, let's figure this out and see if, like, what you were kind of feeling was genuine and everything. And they were like, okay, like, after doing some stuff, they were like, yeah, I think the Lord's calling you into ministry. And I was like,
Wow.
okay, well, you're going to have to show me the ropes because I have no idea what to do or where to go. And so that started like a really long process of them kind of coming alongside me and training me and helping me to, like, figure out what it means to be a pastor and stuff. And so that was like for the next few years.
Wow.
That was going on.
Like through senior year of high school then, and then post-graduation as well.
Uh-huh.
Did you do school, or did you just train on the job? Like they took you under their wing to shadow?
It was like a school that, it was called Christian Workman Schools of Theology.
Whoa.
So basically when I was in it was master's level seminary courses that they were offering through the church that I was taking alongside my normal class load and everything. And like I said, I'm not great at school. And so I got discouraged really quick because some of the books that I had to read for these classes, I was like,
Heavy.
I don't even understand the cover.
Yeah.
And so I got discouraged really quickly. And in my head, I got this lie stuck in my head of like, if what it takes to be an intellectual, or if what it takes to be a pastor is for me to be an intellectual and to know all these things and to, like, probably just misjudge that calling. So I did what a normal person do is I ran away.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I ran away from all of it. I told my pastors, I was like, yeah, I don't think that this is actually for me. I'm gonna kind of call it quits here. And
Jumped in a boat to Nineveh then, huh?
yeah, and I literally jumped in that whale. Yeah. And so I graduated from high school. I worked for a while, just kind of out in just doing odd stuff. I worked for Enterprise Rent-A-Car for like 3-4 years.
They got a good management training program.
They do.
Yeah.
Except they didn't want me as a manager in training. I didn't really care for it. I was just out back washing cars, which I loved, by the way. I was like, man, this is great most days, except in the...
Ohio?
Well, okay, so not trying to rag on Enterprise, but they sometimes, you got to call out stuff when it's kind of poopy.
Facts, yeah.
So in the winter, I loathed the winter at Enterprise because when we were working in the garage, they had heaters. So it's not like we were living, like Spartan back there. But the heaters would only activate when the garage door closed. And when you're trying to get as many cars out to people to rent as much as you can, how often do you think those garage doors were closed?
Oh, gosh.
So we had ice building up in the garage on the
Oh my
cars. It
gosh.
was freezing. I mean, it was not a good time. And then all of everybody else is just inside in the warmth and their like
Their cush
their-
luxury
the
office
and
space.
stuff.
Yeah.
And we're just, I mean, we are kind of back
Grinding,
there
yeah.
rocking a Spartan lifestyle. But
So you went through it. So you ran away and you went to the frozen tundra
yeah,
and you thought this is a better choice.
yep, I did for a while. And then one thing led to another. And my pastors kind of approached me one day and was like, hey, the youth leaders that are, kind of leading the youth group right now are stepping down. Would you want to step into that role and kind of be like the youth pastor guy?
Were you
And I was like,
volunteering and involved and
Oh,
going?
I was super involved in the
Okay.
church. I forgot to mention that. I spent so many of my waking hours at that place because, again, like the church was essentially just like my family. And so I spent so much time at that church just volunteering at anything that I could, just getting time with people, especially like volunteering like kids and students and everything. I loved it.
Yeah.
Just love getting to pour into people and being an encouraging person.
Yeah. Trying to be one of those 3 that hopped in the car and drove you to Indiana.
Exactly. And so when they approached me, I was like, sure,
Or the natural.
let's do it.
Yeah.
And so I had started going to Kent State at the time with Rachel because I was like, okay, I don't think I can be doing enterprise forever. I don't know if I want to. So what am I going to go do? So I decided, well, I really like to exercise. And so I'm going to go and get my degree in strength and conditioning. Maybe try and, I have like some really lofty dreams. And so I was like, maybe I'll go and work for like a professional sports team or like a college team and help out with their strength and conditioning program. Or maybe I can just be like, someone who just does it privately and like runs their own gym and like all that sort of stuff. Well, I don't know. Me and reality don't really play nice like in my head sometimes. It's like, yeah, just like, Austin, that probably isn't going to happen. It's like, well, it's happening in my head, and that's good enough for me. So,
Well, it sounds like a happy place to be.
oh, my head is a wonderful place to be a lot of the time. So I started going there. I was about like 3 years into my degree, and I was doing that alongside to kind of help pay the bills and everything. And I ended up taking my students to Momentum, and wouldn't you know, God kind of met me in a powerful way again there too, but more so in like a challenging way. And he kind of like confronted some stuff there of like, hey man, like I know that like the thought of going to school scares you, and I know that you have all of these legitimate concerns and reasons as to why this isn't going to work, but I'm bigger than those. Like you need to know like I'm bigger than those, and if I have started this work in you, I'm gonna finish it, and no obstacle or person or thing is going to get in the way of that. And if you're not good in school, guess what? I'm gonna make a way for you to complete school. You're not gonna be a straight A student, and I never was, and I still am not. But if I have started something in your life, there's nothing that I'm going to let get in the way of finishing that.
Wow.
And so I called up Pam Buca.
Okay.
And
Pam Buca is?
Pam Buca was, she kind of ran the Grace College program here at Grace, for like the satellite
Did
program.
you like hit up her table at the Momentum conference that was
I
meant
totally
for kids, but you were there as a
So
leader?
it was crazy because I won a free hoodie.
Oh, wow.
I won a free hoodie one of the days. It was like, and now we swung by the Momentum table, or not Momentum table, the Grace College table, and so I was looking at the program, and she was like, "You have any interest in like the Akron?" Like I was like, "Oh, there's one in Akron."
Whoa.
I was like, "Oh, okay. Like let's check it out."
Is this like 2015, 16?
Oh, this would have been like 2019.
Oh, okay.
So I was just about to start getting ready to take all my cool classes at Kent, like all my cool labs
Like all the
and the strength and
specializing,
conditioning stuff, and I just gotten done with all the boring ones, and I was like, well, guess I'm transferring to Grace to start my degree there, and it was right around that time that so I had made the transfer to Grace. My first semester there. Rachel would be okay with me sharing this, but so she has like some struggles of her own. Like, I mean, obviously we all do, but she actually struggled with eating disorder, and so she ended up having a relapse, and so she actually had to end up going down to a facility in Florida, and spend some time there, and so this is like my first. We're still like newly married.
Okay, you got married
newer
at this point. Okay.
married at the time, and so we that started like the first year or the first semester of my undergrad, and while she was gone, there was a lot of stuff that began happening at the church that wasn't really good, and yeah, I won't get into all of it, but there was yeah, so it felt like life just cranked it up
Whoa.
to like 100, and then the knob broke,
Oof.
and I was like, "What is happening?"
And you're like in this moment where you're finally aligning with what you thought was your calling, and
Right,
then the wheels fall off.
right. The wheels fell off, and I'm still going down the highway at like 65 and trying to
Yeah.
hold on.
I've actually had that happen to me before. It's very scary.
It happened to my brother-in-law once.
Oh, it's crazy.
It was great. It was such a funny story. But yeah, sorry, that was a weird rabbit trail. So yeah, so dealing with all that, and then we ended up leaving the church after a few years, just being in undergrad, like finishing that up. We ended up leaving kind of because we had to.
Okay.
We didn't really have a pretty big choice in the matter, and so we ended up leaving for the sake of our marriage and for the sake of a lot of other things, and so uh, sorry, I'm kind of jumping ahead a little bit. There's one story of like God's faithfulness, like within the midst of all of that happening,
Okay.
that was really, really cool and amazing to kind of see. So, I told you about the Rachel's facility trip and everything. So she also had, for a long time, she was, we were bouncing in and out of the hospital because we didn't know it at the time, but her gallbladder was basically failing,
Wow.
and no one could give us any sort of answer. So we were regularly going to the hospital to like for pain and stuff, and we just didn't know what was going on. And that was probably like a better part of like a year or close to it. It all kind of runs together.
Yeah.
But we ended up figuring that out. She ended up getting her gallbladder taken out,
Oh my.
and it ended up solving that issue. But we there was a lot of like medical bills that accrued from all of that, and we were kind of looking at probably a little over like $10,000.
And you're both students.
We were collectively, we had just gotten our first apartment. We were collectively making $15,000.
Oh gosh.
And at the time, I was making some smart decisions because I was looking at competing in bodybuilding at the time. So my gym bills were insane.
Ugh.
My food bills were insane because I was literally eating. Eating was a job, if you can believe
Wow.
it. I was eating that much because I had to.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were just kind of struggling to make by, and like we got these medical bills, and we were like,
Yikes.
I don't know how we're gonna pay this. And it was one of those moments where it's kind of like, okay, we're either gonna kind of struggle and like buckle under this pressure, or we can turn to the Lord, because He's like our ultimate provider. He's our ultimate peace. And so we kind of made that tough decision. It was like, okay, Jesus, like, we know that you are bigger than these medical bills. We know that you are sovereign, and we want to lay these all down at your feet. And we also understand, like, if we need to pay these back, like, in full, like, we're going to do that, and we're going to be faithful for that because you're going to help make a way for us. And so we started calling these places, and we prayed before every single phone call.
Wow.
And we called all of those places. Her facility down in Florida, when we called them, they were like, what was the name again? We were like Rachel Shanower. 1 second. It was like, it was on the phone. We were just anticipation. She comes back and is like, we don't have any record of you.
What?
And we were like, wait, what do you mean you have no record of us? She was like, well, we had just, we'd gone through like some manager transitions and everything, and there was a lot of stuff that got lost in the shuffle and this, that, and the other thing. And we have no record of like any balance or bill or anything that you have.
What?
And she was like, at the end of the call, like we were just like flabbergasted. And like the last thing that she said was like, be blessed.
Oh
We
my
were like,
goodness.
what on earth are you doing, God?
Wow.
And so every place that we called, like I said, we prayed before every single call. And when we got done calling all the places, we ended up like I said, it was over like $10,000. We only ended up owing like 200.
Oh
that we
my
had to
gosh.
pay.
Go God.
And and it was
Wow.
seriously one of those moments where it was like,
Nobody could ever tell
my
you
goodness.
that God doesn't exist. You're like, I have 10,000 Reeses, actually.
Oh, yeah. And one thing that you'll know about me is like, you'll learn about me if you spend enough time with me. I have kind of like a flair for the dramatic. And I think that God knows that about me. Well, God for sure knows that about me. And he shows up in like a lot of these dramatic ways in my life that I've seen. And not that, anytime that God shows up, it's like in a dramatic way. Because there's been so many other times that God has shown up in like one of those still small voices. But he's just kind of giving me like I think he loves showing himself.
The punch stories that you can tell in a podcast someday. Yes.
To me in that way.
Oh my goodness. That's incredible. What a gift. What an encouragement for you guys as you continue to step through what was about to be a really hard time and just say, okay, but remember that lady in Florida that didn't remember this? Like, we're going to be okay eventually.
Yeah. And that was a huge turning point for us, and just being able to like, in both of our relationships with the Lord, and just leaning in on him and trusting him, because it's something that it's like a mile marker we can point back to, and is like, no, we can trust in the Lord for sure, because he came through for us in that way. It was like, whenever you're reading through the Old Testament and God does one of these big things, and you see someone building an altar. Like, it was one of those like altar moments of like, I'm going to build an altar for the Lord here of remembrance of like the great and wonderful deeds that he's done.
Yes.
And so I've built a lot of altars
physically,
like, over the years, like in my life. Well, not physically.
I was going to say, these builder hands you didn't think you have, but you've got your altars of remembrance, even if they're metaphorical.
Right. Yeah, I've built a lot of metaphorical altars in my life.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so
yeah.
that's the medical stuff is happening, and the transition into Grace College is happening, the leaving of your church. How did you then make your way to Grace?
Yeah, so like I said, when we left the church, I had just finished up undergrad, and well, actually, it was a little bit before I finished up undergrad. So we had made the transition over to the Akron East campus, because I was like, I want to stay within the Grace family. Like, I love what Grace is doing, because I've, through undergrad, I've like, River Harder is like my best friend. And
he's got to be like the most frequent mentioned.
I know,
I think
River,
we need to get him on here. There's so many people to shout him out.
River, I'm going to get you on here, buddy.
We're coming for you, River.
No, but he's, I heard River and Isaac and tons of other people, like Charles Leminski, like all of them talk about everything that was happening at Grace, because they were all like interns here, and so I had gotten to hear a lot of stories of what was happening at Grace, and then having a lot of the teachers that I did who were also like I had Pastor Robbie, I had Pastor Brad, Ryan, like I was like, I really want to stick around Grace, because it seems like God is doing some really amazing and incredible things there. And I could for sure go to another church that is closer to us, but like I'm not willing to compromise on that. And so, we were making the drive to Akron East, and we kind of showed up. Ryan says we showed up on a stretcher, essentially, of like just kind of like where we were
not
at.
A country club, yeah.
Right, and so they took us in. They really did a great job of loving us and like helping us heal and doing a lot of things. And I got plugged into serving in Student Men with Aaron Key, and he's a great guy, also like another mentor of mine. And so we were just kind of doing that for a while. And I was also plugged into a homeless ministry that was at Middlebury Chapel, is what it was called. And so it was like every Wednesday we would go and like have conversations with our homeless friends in Akron, and also like, provide food, clothing, like all that sort of stuff. And one of the days that I was there, I met this lady. She had like a Power Kids shirt. There was a Grace Power Kids shirt on. And I was like, oh, do you go to Grace? Like, what's your name? And she was like, well, I'm Christy Keir. I'm like the Power Kids director. And I was like, oh, I've never heard of you.
Oh, what? She's a legend.
I know. And I was like, I've never heard of this lady. And so we got to talking, and I was like, oh, I like actually finished up my undergrad at Grace, and I'm kind of like in the process of like I'd love to get like a residency or something, but there's nothing available right now. Um, and she was like, what? Like, do you know that we actually have like a residency spot open? And I was like, really?
Oh, wow.
Tell me more. And so she kind of told me a little bit more about the opening for Power Kids. And initially I was kind of like, ugh, like I don't know if Power Kids is like the move for me.
Throwing it down that young. You were thinking more teens.
Right. I was kind of, because that was my wheelhouse. And I was like, oh, I told her multiple times, I'm like, Christy, are you sure? Like, I'll jump into it, but I'm like, I am not great with kids. Like, I don't have a ton of experience. Just so you're aware of what you're getting yourself into. She was like, yeah, that's fine. Like, it's all good. So, it was in, gosh, I'm like so bad with dates and everything. I can't remember when I started.
Well, it's
it was
like
21.
Pre-COVID, post-COVID, during COVID, were you wearing a mask? Were you not wearing a mask? That helps to date things at in this generation.
Right. And so I think it was around like 2022.
Okay.
Like in January is when I stepped on staff here at Grace as the Power Kids resident. And so I kind of leaned into that. It was something that was really uncomfortable. It was really hard to kind of like step into that and trust that God was doing what he was doing. I was like, well, like I am super intimidated and kind of afraid of everything right now, but God, I trust you. And I'm just going to lean into I'm going to lean into that and just lean into your faithfulness, because you open the store, you're wanting me to walk through it for some reason, and so I'm just going to do it, and we'll sort the rest out later.
So you are now a resident at Grace Bath. Were you still attending Ellet?
No,
or did you make the switch over here?
Yeah, we kind of had to make the switch over here. I had asked Christy, I was like, can I like kind of double dip a little bit? And she was like, no. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. I just figured I'd ask.
Yeah.
But she likes to say that because River and Hannah Schaefer went over there, and she was like, understandably upset about losing both of them. Not upset, but like just bummed.
Yeah, well,
but she
Hannah
likes to
Schaefer
say,
is also legendary, because she was raised here all the way through and did so much for so long.
But she said that getting me was just as good as losing them and everything. But no, I love Hannah and River, and I miss them.
So you started residency 2022-ish, and how long is a residency? What does that even look like?
Yeah, so a residency is a 3-year program, renewable each year. It's full-time work, full-time seminary, and so you kind of learn as you go, and you get hands-on experience while you're doing seminary and learning at the same time. So seminary is about like 3 hours a week over at the Norton campus, and
that sounds like big brain school. Is like big brain school, like seminary?
Yeah, it's pretty big brain. Big brain school. Big brain school. Yeah, again, like you can probably imagine from that sentence how good I'm doing.
Oh gosh.
In seminary, but no, I'm doing fine. It's been a blast. Like I said, I'm not a straight A student, but I'm giving it my best. That's all you really can do.
And the main part is the real life experience alongside of it, the residency. I mean, I see you every Sunday, and you are going to town every Wednesday.
Oh yeah.
So lots
and to
of
kick
learning.
it over at Montrose has been a personal joy of mine. So I like oversee Power Kids over at Montrose, and there's just some really cool things that God has been doing there, and getting to be with I call them, so me and Charles kind of came up with this when Charles was still over at Montrose. We called ourselves the Mont Bros.
Oh, I love that.
And so it's like something that's kind of stuck from then on.
You need like caricatures made, and then you could like dress as them for Halloween. I'm thinking like a Mario and Luigi kind of vibe going on. Mont Bros. I love that. We could turn it into a video game.
I think it would be fun.
I agree. I think the kids would all totally get into it.
Yeah.
We could make it happen.
Oh my gosh. Like, also, to back up to the whole kids ministry thing, I have loved kids ministry way more far and away than I ever thought I was going to.
I love that for you.
And kids are so amazing. They can be hard sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, as you are well aware of, like a
I
being
got
a
a
mom
couple
with
of them.
two
Yeah.
boys, which I love your boys, by the
Aw,
way. They are
thank you.
they were so fun to have. When Rowan was in Power Kids, just getting to have Abram too
Yeah.
was such a blast.
They're unique ones, that's for sure.
I still remember the first day I walked in. And I was teaching one of the surge classes, and I was like, "Why is this boy in the corner, just like pretending like he's invisible?" And they were
Aw,
like, "Oh, that's Rowan. He just does
it's
that,
just
and he's
Rowan.
all good." And I was
My
like, "I'm gonna like
special
this
friend.
kid. Like that's the kind of energy that I
Now he
love."
still sits in the corner, but with a poncho on and still tries to be invisible.
That's okay.
More power to him.
Yeah, 100%. But I love kids. They're like so raw and honest, and they just love to have fun. Like I'm a guy like if you don't like to have fun, you probably won't have a good time around me because
Okay.
I love to have fun. I love to laugh. Like I will do the goofiest stuff. I will say the most outrageous things. My buddy Jesse and I worked at the coffee shop for a while, and I'm a super nerd about coffee. So if you ever want to talk coffee sometime, let me know. But my one buddy and I, we always had this thing where we would do like absurd scenarios that
Okay.
would just get each other to laugh. It would just like what would happen if we would be on drive-through or something, and just like my buddy would lean over to me and he'd just be like, "What would you do if like a rhinoceros just came through the drive-through right now?" It's just funny, absurd stuff that it's like it's so dumb, it's so goofy, and it's like of course it's like childlike,
Yeah.
and you kind of like most people roll their eyes when they hear it, and I'm just like, but it's fun.
You
Just
gotta
like
laugh. You gotta
yeah,
laugh.
stop taking yourself so seriously and just laugh.
Oh, well then yeah, you definitely fit right in at Power Kids.
Oh yeah, the kid like I just go around and say like random off the wall outlandish things to the kids, and they love it and they eat it up, and you know I love being that person that when a kid walks in and they see, not trying to like make
Yeah.
myself
Yeah.
sound cool, but like, I want to be the person where when a kid walks in and they don't have a friend and they are uncomfortable and they're, you know, kind of struggling a little bit, I want to be someone who helps them to have a fantastic day. I want them to laugh. I want them to love being at church, because goodness knows I did not like being at church when I was a kid. And I want them to know more than anything how much Jesus loves them. I mean, that's one of the things I always make sure to like sprinkle into a lot of my conversations with the kids and everything, is just like just saturating it with like the gospel and just helping them understand, know that they're in a place where they are loved and people love them, and that God loves them even more than that. And just, you know, trying to permeate that with everything that we do in Power Kids is
Yeah, well, then that's the ripples that we were talking about earlier. So from that decision, the very first momentum of giving your life to Christ, then the next momentum, giving your life to service for Christ, and then the ways that, you know, you've referred to little Austin now serving a bunch of other little hearts, that giving them what you needed, being that person that you would have wanted to have in your life, all those pieces. Like, you can totally see that. If anybody were to know you, they'd be like, oh, yeah, this entire story makes complete sense. I see him do that every time I'm around him.
yeah. And literally, like, again, because if you now people are going to look at me at Montrose and they're going to be like, oh, now I see Austin like acting goofy all the time. And now you know the reason.
I'm going to watch for it.
And now
I'm
you know
gonna
the
poke
reason
it,
if you see it. Gosh, and I'll mess with just normal people too. Like, it's not just kids. Like,
First time guests?
I'll mess with a first time guest.
They keep you away intentionally of the first time parent check-ins
Yeah,
area.
Brian Hoffman keeps me far away
Do
from
not
any of like
freak
the
the
first
visitor
time
parents
guests.
out. Oh my gosh, you could really do some damage there, actually. So.
I for sure could.
But if you
I have this-
joyfully accept their child, that's the big thing. That's the getting that transition to occur. And someone like you that's talking about rhinoceros coming through, like, what's more fun than that?
Right. But every every good thing also kind of has like a counterpart to it. And man, if I am not like the expert of putting my foot in my mouth a lot of
Uh-oh.
times. Holy smokes.
Example?
I have, I can't, I don't know if I can share any examples of that. That's,
Okay, we can skip the
when I
example
strike
of that
out,
one.
I strike out bad is all I'll say.
Yeah. Well, I'll look for that too on Mantra Sundays. Oh, man. Well, I love the way that you're serving now and the way that you would have liked to have been served and in many ways were served as well. What do you see in your future? So you said it's a 3-year thing. You said you started in 2022. It's 2025. So what's next?
Yeah, well, isn't that the question? Everybody, like, everyone's trying to answer for themselves too. Man, I have no idea. All I know is that I want to just be as faithful to the Lord as possible. It's one of those things that I've learned over the years that, because it gave me a lot of anxiety because I always felt like I needed to figure out what I needed to do, because if I didn't, I would fail and like mess up and choose the wrong path and go down. But if you look at the trajectory of your life, because I had to do this with me, when I look at the trajectory of my life, and if I know and believe that what the Bible says is true, and that everything that God is doing in my life is going to lead to His ultimate good and the ultimate good that He has planned for me, then no decision that I can make can derail that. So it's like if you're looking on a timeline, like you have the end point of like where God has you in your life, like on one side, and where you are at right now. And there can be so many different options that you can choose. Like the possibilities of like probably like with the things that you can do in this life, like with the Lord are kind of, I'm not going to say like endless, but I'm like, God
Bigger
doesn't
than
just
you
give
could
us like
ask or
one
imagine.
step after the other.
Yeah.
Like there are times where I think God gives you like 3 doors and is like, you can go through any of these.
They're all good.
And they're all going to
Yeah.
lead you to the same place.
Yeah.
They're going to probably lead you in different paths and
Sure.
directions. You're going to see things here that you're not going to see if you walk through this door or this door. But they're all leading to the same place. And I'm going to, but we have to rely on like the wisdom of the Holy Spirit to like help lead us in there, because like when we choose to make those decisions ourselves, like we can easily walk into like things that the Lord might not want for us,
that hinder or entangle. And that's the thing, like there's sinful choices, that's one direction, but those
Right.
other 3 are great options, and we don't want to get stuck and not move
Right.
as a result of that fear
Right.
of choice. But yeah, like trust in the Lord, and He'll get you through.
Yeah, and that's why it's like we get really hung up on like, oh, I have to make the right choice, I have to make the right choice. And it's like when you're following the Lord, like and you are seeking His wisdom and His counsel, and you are living by the Spirit and walking with Him every day, He's going to lead you to where He needs you. He wants you to go. You just have to take the next step in obedience and follow Him.
And that's that same freedom that we talked about back when you first joined youth group, and that freedom of stepping into a room that would have been scary, or you're trying to put on a front, and oh wow, there's actually freedom here. And same thing here, like there's freedom in the faithfulness of the Lord to know I can't really screw this up. I have to keep my eyes on Him, keep moving toward Him, no matter which door I go through.
Yeah.
So all that said, what are you doing next?
Yeah. There's a man.
And you don't have to disclose anything here, but
I mean, there's nothing really concrete right now. There's like different conversations I'm having. We'll see if they go anywhere. But I mean, I would love to, if you're gonna twist my arm and say like, okay, you don't know where you're going, but what would you like to do? I would love to do something because I don't like being the guy. Like, I don't know if I could ever like head pastor somewhere. That just doesn't seem like it's in my skills wheelhouse or anything that I like to do. I mean, if I need to, I'll do it, but it's not my giftings. I would just love to be like a really good support guy, like some sort of like assistant pastor or someone who kind of gets to like sit in and oversee. I love to teach. I love the moments. Oh gosh, I I didn't even get into like teaching or any of this stuff, but I love the moments when the light bulb goes off for kids or students or anyone.
Yeah.
And they make a connection about God that they haven't before. They find out more about who he is that they didn't before. And just helping others to see God's heart for them has been like a way that I love to describe that, and what I love to do. In terms of teaching and equipping, I love to coach. I love to mentor. There's some guys I'm mentoring right now that is just my personal joy to be able to do that and to build up the body of Christ in that way. And so I love discipleship. I love like small group atmosphere and just being able to break bread with each other and live life with each other, and also just dig deep into God's word and just apply that to everyday life. And so if you kind of press me, I'd say like doing any number or mixture of those things next would be right in my wheelhouse, and would just, I wouldn't have to fight too hard to get out of bed in the morning if I got to do all of that.
Yeah. And because I know and love your wife, Rachel, I know that she's really stepped into a cool space where she's using
Hasn't she?
gifts and life experiences, and I can just see it is like exuding out of her.
Oh, I love when she gets home every single day, because working at Restore Addiction Recovery is one of the coolest jobs I think she could have ever had, because she comes home and she tells me just, it's almost like every day, the way that God is changing the hearts and mending the hearts of men who are broken, who are just in desperate need of a savior, of like literally guys who have blown up their life, who have hit rock bottom. And in a lot of ways, like, we kind of share like in that story of just like they're chasing things that like this world is saying that like when you have these things, you will have what you're yearning for, and it's just that craving feeling that I was talking about in like First John. And it's in that like they're reach the depths of this brokenness, and the Lord meets them there, and he restores them. Like literally word. It's in the name. He restores them, and he brings them back, and it's like it just always reminds me of like the image of the prodigal son, where the son comes home and the dad puts the robe on his back and the ring on his hand and invites him in, and
anxiously awaiting his return.
And oh gosh, I have the incredible honor of being a life coach there, and just life coaching one of the guys he's graduated now, and I don't think I can actually say a ton more because of like confidentiality and sort of stuff like that, but personal honor and joy to be part of what God is doing so there, cool. And in that way, and just the fact that Rachel is there in that capacity and just helping with that. And
feeding her soul too.
Yeah.
So cool. Well, I love watching that for you guys, and looks like you're in a new season of change and shift coming up here, but fully trusting in the Lord. If you were to put that into a song with lyrics, what would it sound like? Have you brought a song here today to add to our unscripted worship playlist?
Yeah, I would say if you wanted to add the hymn "Love Lifted Me," you could probably look up like a modernized version.
Yes.
I've listened to a bunch of modernized versions. They're all pretty good. So whatever you decide on that would be good. We started doing a new song over the weekends too. What a God.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh man. If that's not one of my new favorites, I don't know what is.
It's just on repeat. What a God, 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 what a God. And all the glory and all the splendor. That is like a worshipful song.
Yeah.
About him, not about us. It's just him and his glory.
You got like Reckless Love on there. I was trying to find the playlist and I couldn't find it, but I was pretty sure Reckless Love was on there.
Ooh, good question that I don't recall specifically, but we can take a look for it because it should be on there.
I'm pretty sure someone beat me to it. I'm like, because Reckless Love is like far and away, I think, my favorite worship song. The lyrics that always, I'm still waiting to get a tattoo of it. But when he says, when I was your foe, still your love fought for me. Oh my gosh, that was like, if I could have like summed up like my story in a lot of ways, like that, in like a sentence or two, like that would have been it. Just like my relationship with the Lord.
Absolutely. I mean, we could go down a lot of rabbit trails with
Yeah,
that
we
lyric
could.
alone. We don't need to do that today, but amazing. Well, we will add those songs. Again, we have an unscripted worship playlist. It's on Spotify, so check it out there. It's always linked in the notes as well. But just a way to help people express through worship songs how their life story fits in that way, and follow along there if you're looking for a good playlist as well.
Also, Creed is making a resurgence.
What?
Yeah, so Creed is like making a big comeback. So if we could figure out a way to add a Creed song in there, like One
Would you
Last
go with an
Breath
oldie or a
something.
newie?
Oh, like, or maybe like Arms Wide Open.
Yes.
Or like
With
One Last
arms
Breath.
wide open.
With arms wide open.
Oh, Creed. Bring it back. Bring it back. Oh, that's so funny. Okay, well, you've added a number of lovely ones that are going to be great here,
Yeah.
so thanks
Sorry
for that.
for the next people who have to, like, I filled their quota
You've taken
too.
up, yeah,
taken
you've
their
taken up
quotas.
a few good ones for people. But also, I just want to let everybody listening know that Austin touched on a lot of stuff here between himself, his wife, their stories. A long, long journey. And if there's anything that resonated with you, listen, we have had people email us and like get connected to community in ways that just are mind blowing. I could tell you stories for days. So reach out to us. We have an email, unscripted@graceohio.org. Shoot us a message and we can get you connected to Austin directly. We can get you connected to anybody at Grace Church that might be able to talk you through whatever it is that you're thinking, feeling, coming out of this story. You know, he talked about some deep, dark pits. He talked about some pretty high highs and a lot of things in between. So yeah, reach out. We'd love to hear from you. Austin would love to get coffee with you. Clearly, coffee master over here would love to
100%.
take you for coffee and
The
teach you all
pastor
the
of
ways.
coffee at Grace Bath.
Ooh, let's make that exist.
Oh man, if you can make that happen, I would be eternally
All the
grateful.
gifts wrapped up into one. Well, it's so cool to get to know you more, Austin. Thanks for all of your
Yes.
time, all the laughs, and loved hearing this story.
Yeah, thanks, Audrey. Thank you for having me.
Of course.